And now we are recording. Awesome. So I did want to give you again just an update or an overview of the tools that we're going to learn, the things that we're going to learn, and the tools we're going to use to enhance our learning. Tools that we're going to use throughout the course. So it's not just my course. This is going to be things. Now every instructor is different, but these are going to be things that every instructor will use. Lots of these are very base kind of tools within Coding Dojo. And the first one is going to be really the most important, in my opinion. Well, this and the Learn platform and login platform are going to be the two most important. But this is your class sheet. Everybody received an email from me that gave you access to this class sheet. I will make sure that if you need it, I can get it to you. I also put it in our Discord as well, and it is pinned. We'll talk about how do I access a pin here in a second. But this is going to be your one-stop shop. So this is a way that if you, obviously yesterday was a holiday, and so we had no class. And so if there's anything interesting, I got quite a few emails about like, why are we not in class? What's going on? A couple things. First off, I would really encourage that when I send an email, try to read through it. Or if you're confused, maybe go back to that first and then read through it. Did have quite a few students thinking that we had class on Monday. A lot of students confused on why we didn't have class yesterday. And so in the actual email, I'd stated we weren't going to have class. But this is also really just a good visualization tool for what is kind of coming up and what is going on. So if you would have referred back to this, you would have seen that here it said no class on July 4th, and that we would have our first ones here on July 5th. Now, this is our one-stop shop. So let's kind of start here and then we'll work our way down. Here's going to be our lecture Zoom link. So this will be our class Zoom link. It is also in Discord. I also sent you an email with it, but you can just kind of, I would encourage you to bookmark this because you are going to use it very frequently. So I would encourage you to bookmark this. And then this will be a tool that you can just jump into because you're going to need it. Like this is going to be something that you will need frequently. And then once this class is over, obviously you can get rid of it. Now, if you don't want to get rid of it, or if there's something you really particularly struggled with, this class is, or this sheet is going to live on. So you will have access to this for as long as you need. So, everything, if you want to go through, if you wanted to make sure that you saw our lecture playlist or something like that, you can keep the sheet and this will give you access to that. Like I don't delete the sheet at the end of the class. It lives on. It's just in the cloud. The cloud is cheap. I don't need to deal with that. So if you ever did want to kind of refer back to this, you totally can. So we have our lecture Zoom link. We have our lecture playlist. Obviously, that's not created yet because this is our first lecture, but this will be a playlist on YouTube that'll be for our class where all of our office hours, which is what we're in right now, and our lectures, all of those will be there. So it'll just be a playlist for YouTube that has all of the information that we have. Next thing is we're going to have a GitHub repo. So now we're going to start doing a little bit more coding. We are going to code even today. We're going to build out some HTML. We're going to do some different coding. And so what I'll do is I will create a GitHub repository. And if you remember anything from our last class, you can think way back in the day. I think it was on Thursday. We talked about GitHub, but I'll create a repository. And really, it's just a way that I can store code. That way you guys have access to it. And as you're kind of going through, and you maybe you're trying to remember how I did something, you can have access to the code and see and use that as a tool for learning. So once I create that tonight, I will give that there. This assignment checklist is just really a quick way for you to remember what kind of assignments are coming up. Like you have 3 core assignments coming up for this week alone. You got this registration form, plotting our blocks, and GitHub blocks. Those are your core assignments with this estimated time. Now, if it takes you 10 minutes, that's great. If it takes you 2 hours and it says 1 hour, that's okay. These are just estimated time. So that way you can plan, hey, this plotting our blocks might take me 2 hours. If you only got like a 30-minute span, you're like, maybe I won't start this, or maybe I can plan I can plan my schedule around, okay, I'm going to clear up my night so that I can really dedicate some time to plotting our blocks, because even just using your context clues, you might infer that this might be the hardest assignment of the week. Usually is, right? So that's what this estimated time is. If you go above or below that, that is up to you. It's not a big deal. Like as long as you've accomplished it, that is really the key in the learning here. So that's what this assignment checklist is. If you're ever curious on what is due and what is coming up, this is going to be a key. Now we'll see this on the Learn platform as well, but really come to this one, and this is going to be your key and what you're going to do. Now, looking at the schedule, actually, we'll start here and then we'll kind of work our way down. This is an open house playlist. Actually, don't even need this, so I'm just going to delete it. There's no need. You don't need that. That already happened, so we're good to go. Dojo Hall and Bulletin Board. Now, this is going to be a tool that you are going to use all of the time. What this really is a spot for TAs to sit there and get or be able to help you if you need some help. Now, there is quite a few things that I would really encourage, and I have already spoken with Christina. And as this is your first real stack, right? We've already done programming basics, hopefully, or you should have. So you've already gotten that. That's kind of a stack that's like an entry level. This is your first stack, if you will. Now is the time, and this is what our goal is, to really solidify some routines for you. Now is the time for you to start building habits that are going to help you be successful, not only for Coding Dojo, but for the job in itself. Now, this idea of getting help, there's going to be times that you need help, whether you don't understand something or, assignment that maybe at an ETA of 30 minutes has now taken you 4 hours, right? Like maybe it's just not clicking. That happens. That's okay. That's expected. Now, the best way and the most optimal way to deal with this is kind of doing this 1, 2, 3, 4 idea, where we have this idea at Coding Dojo. It's called Strength Through Struggle, and it's what we call our 20-minute rule. What that means is if you encounter a bug or an error or something's not really making sense, you have to spend 20 minutes. And you don't spend more than 20 minutes, but you have to spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out using the Learn platform, using lectures, using Google as a resource. Now, what this doesn't mean is like start a timer, kind of click around, look at the timer. Okay, I got 5 more minutes. Okay, click around. I'm going to draw and like just get help. What it really means is, okay, challenge yourself to learn how to figure things out. The whole point of this is not to discourage you from communicating with us or getting help from a TA. The whole point of this is on the job. And I can tell you, I've been a developer. On the job, there are going to be things that you need to figure out. You need to learn how to look up. You need to learn how to figure out how to read documentation, how to fix a bug on your own, because you're not going to have a boss that is just going to come in and help you and fix it all the time. And maybe they might not even know either, right? Because it might just be a new avenue that your company is exploring. And so this whole idea is, again, not to discourage you from meeting with us. It is so that you can build up this habit of, okay, I'm going to look up and I'm going to try to find, and I'm going to exhaust my resources before I go get help. Getting help is important. So what I'm not saying is go spend 8 hours and and then, want to just pull your hair out and then come to us crying. That's not going to help. But especially as you guys are learning, really, this is the biggest thing I can tell you. This will make you a better developer. If you can do this, this is going to make you a better developer, much more than even just like being a whiz with shortcuts or anything like that. If you can learn how to figure things out, that's going to be important. So the first step is Strength Through Struggle. That's yourself, 20 minutes trying to figure things out. Then we encourage you to go to Discord and post your question. The point behind this is we want you to be able to ask good questions. If you go to Discord, and I'll just be honest with you. This is like honesty hour with Instructor Will. If you go to Discord and you say, I don't understand my code, I'm going to be frustrated because that doesn't do anything for me. That doesn't help me. And when I say it doesn't do anything for me, it means it doesn't help me understand. I'm going to have to ask, well, what is going on? But I'm going to have to ask following questions. When a student comes and says, hey, here's my code. Here's what I've tried. Here's what I'm expecting. And here's what it's doing. that is much, much faster. I can look at your code. I can say, oh, here it is. Or why don't you try to look at this function, or what happens when you return too early, blah, 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 blah. And it's a much more efficient meeting and process for us. And again, this whole thing is so that way you, when you actually go out in the workforce, you have the ability to ask better questions. I have been a senior developer and I've had developers work for me. And when they come to me and they're like, I just don't get it. And I say, what don't you get? And they can't articulate that. That now takes up more of my time, right? And now takes up much more of our problem solving versus somebody saying, hey, here's what I've tried. I'm just not getting this. Help me understand. I'm also more in tune to want to help them, right? And so the whole idea is us, this is all just like a muscle of working out. We don't expect you to be great at this to start, but learn how to ask better questions, learn how to give lots of information, because people want to help you. People want to give you answers. If you just start with, my code's not working, then that is going to be a challenge, right? And so think of this as we're helping you get ready for class or get ready for a job. And part of it is you got to learn how to problem solve. And the second thing is you have to learn when you do ask a question, which is important. You know, if a developer didn't ask a question and then they can't figure it out and they've been stuck on it for 2 weeks, that's an issue, right? So you have to learn how to ask questions, but this is the whole point. So there is a little bit of method to the madness. And so we say struggle for 20 minutes, then go and in Discord, try to collaborate. With that being said, one of the best ways for you to learn is to try to teach. And I'm not saying that you guys need to take on teaching and start giving lectures, but if another student comes in and asks a question that you maybe know or think you might know, the best way for you to solidify that is to answer, right? Because it might be you guys are both up late at night, you know the answer, and you can answer that. So by posting on Discord, what that does, it allows even for faster answers, right? Because somebody might already know it. They might have already done that assignment. They might have already run into that same exact issue. And then versus, time with me, like my calendar gets very full very fast, or time with a TA might have a little bit of a wait time. This can get you in and out. So spend about 20 minutes after researching, post your problem. Now we don't have like a time to like wait 10 minutes after your problem, but post it. And I would say what I would say is 20 minutes. Then you go post, and then I would say come back for 10 or 15 minutes. And then if by then nothing has happened, right? Now it's been 35 minutes of solid trying to figure it out. You've been on Discord. TAs also monitor Discord, so it's usually pretty quick. But if for some reason for 15 minutes something doesn't click or nobody's answering you, that's when you hop into Dojo Hall. So we have that. This says 20 minutes, but I would say like 10 or 15 to 20, up to you. What Dojo Hall is really just a spot where TAs are going to kind of just be there. And what you can do is hop into a breakout room. It's just a Zoom room. Hop into a breakout room and you can ask questions. Now, sometimes you have to wait in line to where maybe somebody's getting help and you just kind of are sitting there, and you're going to have to just kind of listen and wait your turn. TAs try to operate that way, to where we're notifying and saying, okay, this person came in and this person. Sometimes your questions get answered while you're waiting and looking. But this is a way, if you do want some immediate help, that this is the way to do it. Again, what will make you a better developer is to strength through struggle, try to collaborate and or learn how to ask a better question, and then go to Dojo Hall. In a job, if you skip these two and you just went to your boss the minute you got an error, they were going to get frustrated because they're going to feel like they have to hold your hand, right? And they're going to feel like you're a little bit dependent on that and that you actually can't develop. So learn these two habits. It's really, really, really important. But Dojo Hall is a great way that you can get some immediate help. You can kind of get some FaceTime with a TA. Now, it doesn't always have to be Christina. Lots of TAs will be there. When you log in, you should see TAs, and they should have on their name, it'll have, so if you're looking at the breakout rooms, they'll have what languages they know. Everybody knows web fundamentals as a TA. But then when you get into Python and Java and MERN, there might be some different ones. So it's like JavaScript or Python or Java. So then therefore you can kind of learn that and kind of jump into the rooms with the people that know your language. Because if you have a Java question and maybe a TA just did JavaScript and Python and that's what they're experts at, they're not going to know your Java question. And so you'll want to make sure that you do that. But we do try to staff that as well. That way every language is covered the entire time. And the last thing is that if all of these happen and you are really still struggling, there's two ways that we can kind of figure this out. The first one would be, I would say going to Dojo Hall a couple times. So it's not just like a one-time thing. If you're having a struggle, the best way and the fastest way to get some help is to go to Dojo Hall maybe a couple times. My schedule gets very busy very fast. And so when you try to book a meeting with me, I might not be available. Or I might not be available for like 4 days. And so being able to go to Dojo Hall will be really, really helpful versus waiting until Friday and then you're super behind sort of thing. So then if necessary, we can do a code review and we'll talk about what a code review looks like here in just a second. Cool. Again, this is a great way to collaborate, make friends. You'll have to, there's like an entire walkthrough of how to do this. There's study rooms and student lounge. If you just kind of want to hang out and get to know people, you can do that as well. It is open 24/7. And then from 1 p.m. to 7:45 is when the actual TAs will be there. So this is all PST or PDT, I guess is what we're technically in. So here's the kind of breakdown here. But just please know that during office hour and lecture, that it is closed. And that makes sense because you're supposed to be here, right? You don't need to necessarily be there. And if you have questions, especially during office hour, this is a way that you can do that. And there's lots of information here about registering. So that way we can know. You'll click this guy right here, click here to gain access. Once you do that, it'll give you access. You'll register and then you can go to Dojo Hall. And it'll give you a link for Dojo Hall. So it'll send you that. And then it can kind of walk through that. There's lots of stuff here that if you're wanting to talk about collaborating with students, here's some learning sciences information on here. So it's a great way for you to learn all of this information, finding solutions, useful tips and tricks. Definitely give this a look and a shout. Again, this is all on this guy right here, this bulletin board. You have your career services. You guys are starting your career services here. So here's our week 1. So it's kind of the first day. So you're going to have an introduction. A lot of you guys had that for during programming basics. So you've got this guy. Next week, you'll have your first touch base. So it's 15 to 30 minutes. So you're going to have to schedule a short one-to-one, like a one-on-one with your CSM and just kind of talk about expectations. This is where they're going to help you start building a job. Please know that looking for a job, the process starts now, not when you graduate. If you really want to get ahead, and especially if time is of essence for you, you're trying to make a switch, you're trying to jump in quickly, I would really start now compared to waiting until, week 16 to kind of start going. So this is here for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but to me, but reaching out to your career services person is going to be helpful for you. You got this helpful tips and tricks. This is just a playlist from other instructors as we've gone through. We've had, different various things and instructors have seen different things. So we want to make sure that if you guys have questions on how to zip a file, I had no idea how to zip a file when I started. If you want to know that, here's how you zip that. Here's what folder structure and creating new assignments. Here's a great video. They're only 7 minutes. Here's talking with a student. Here's 20-minute rule, getting help, how to ask questions. VS Code basics, Dojo Hall walkthrough. So lots of stuff here. So please, kind of see this if you need. And if that's helpful, that playlist is there for you. Now, lastly, if you need to have a one-on-one with me, you can by clicking this guy right here. What this is going to do, it's going to take you to Calendly. And when you go to Calendly, you will have access to my schedule. And what I mean by access to my schedule is looks like you can do a day and then here's some times I'm available. And so you could see like tomorrow, I only have an 11:30, and then so on and so forth. Right now, it does vary and it changes per day. based on what my calendar is. It does fill up fairly fast. Now, when you get this, it'll send you something and you have to confirm that. So though you just, let's say you selected this and you put this and you say schedule event, it's going to send you an email. If you don't confirm it, it doesn't show up on my calendar. So please make sure you do that. It is really, really, really important. That being said, what I don't want to discourage you from having a one-on-one with me. I am happy to help you and to walk through that with you. I would just say that a one-on-one with me should probably be the last sort of resort for something. What students typically do, and I'll tell you why this is an issue in the first place, is you will run into an issue probably on the weekend or it's late. You'll panic on like a Sunday or a Monday, typically a Monday or Tuesday, and you'll schedule something for like Friday. And then by the time you get there, either I explained it, like, especially if you're working ahead, I explain it during class or we talk about it in office hour. And then you go, oh, oops. And then you just don't show up or you just cancel. Because like, oh, I don't need this anymore, which is fine. But please know that it is more reserved for students who really have an issue. Like really the main things for a one-on-one would be like if you're dealing with some stuff personally and you need to talk about like, okay, I need some reprieve from this class. Things that only sort of I can handle. I need some reprieve from this class, or what are my options from assignments perspective, or, you know, I had surgery and here's what's going on. Not that you need to tell me what's going on with your life, but just the strategy for how to do that. It's not for like, hey, just wanted to get to know you, which is, I'm happy to do that in like office hour and other times, but I do quite a few things for Coding Dojo. And so I do fill up very, very fast. And so I just ask that unless it is something a little bit more necessary that you just need from me, then going the dojo hall route and talking with TAs is oftentimes going to be the most optimal for you. Again, do not want to discourage you. I'm happy to meet with you. I love meeting with students. It's my favorite part of just kind of teaching and being with you guys. But please, 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 you know, don't just in a panic be like, oh, I gotta go meet with Will. Like, especially in a panic, just chill. The next day, go to Dojo Hall. And if after that you're still really struggling, I'm happy to meet with you. Just kind of, this is not your first break glass thing. I would say that kind of try to follow that process of the 20-minute rule, going on Discord, going to Dojo Hall 1 or 2 times. And then if you're not getting it, I would love to meet with you. So any questions kind of on this sheet? And then we're going to look at the class part so far, but on this kind of header portion, I'll look in the chat. Somebody asks, it's class hours from 4 to 6. So yes, it is. But 4 p.m. is just going to be our office hour. So today's a little bit unique. It's our first class. So I'm going through some stuff. I was talking with Christina today. I usually try to reserve from 4 to 5 p.m. PDT or PST. I think we're in PDT right now because of daylight savings. I usually try to reserve that for an actual office hour. The whole idea is that this is an hour that if you're struggling with questions, and again, this is kind of talking about the one-on-one, is I really work hard to at least 2 out of the 3 office hour days are just times that I don't really have anything. I might have something at the end if there's no questions, or maybe for 20 minutes. That way it still kind of buys out some time in case people join late and they have questions. But I really do try to give it as time to answer any questions, or somebody can bring code that's not working and we can as a class do that. Sometimes I will do like a breakout for GitHub, or I'll do something like that. But the 4 to 5 p.m. is always going to be office hour. Then the actual class itself. Now, both of these are going to be recorded, but the actual class itself will be from 5 to 6. And I try to honor your time as well. And sometimes I might go 5 or 10 minutes over, but I'll never go, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes over. You guys, your time is important. My time is important. We don't need that. If they ever get to the case where on Tuesday, like let's say that I don't get through everything that we want to talk about today, then maybe I'll do like a breakout for 20 minutes on, normally on this case, it will be Thursday, but this week is Friday because of a different schedule. I'll do like during office hour, I'll just hit on a couple different points that I want to make sure that I know, or the next day or something like that, if it's crucial. Again, this calendar is going to be the most important thing. So you see our dates. These are just encouragements if you wanted to kind of break out the material to where you can do it every week. If you have that capacity, this would be the encouragement that here's your reading, here's the chapter we're working through, and how the web works. And all of these readings would be helpful. Now, here we've got like our link to our registration form. That does not mean that the assignment is due today. All assignments are due at 11:59 Pacific time, Sunday. So on Sunday is when I will check, or technically Monday morning, but it'll check. It has a timestamp. 11:59 p.m. is when all assignments and discussion questions are due. This will be a hyperlink. And then what I will also do is put every lecture. I will post a hyperlink here and an office hour. If I record it like I am now, if there is something, I will also post our office hour here. Now, again, they will be in our lecture Zoom link. And then for class itself, I will put these in our login platform, but I will put them here as well. So if you wanted to kind of look at them, they will be here. Again, this sheet should have everything that you need. If we're looking at this sheet, we notice that already next week, our yellow belt window opens. Now, if your guys are coming from programming basics, you're like, oh my gosh, I literally just took an exam. This course does move a little bit fast, but it's just this one and the next one. You have full 8 weeks. You have 6 weeks of learning. We're going to practice. We'll have plenty of information. We'll have an entire lecture that's a mock exam. We'll talk all about everything we need. So you should have everything you need to get going. But your yellow belt window opens. Now you have a little bit longer for your yellow belt because this one you've got, this weekend, this entire week, and then everything is due on Wednesday. This is when all things are due. This is the last day to start an exam. Now this one, instead of 5 hours, multiple takes, you get 1 take. But you have 24 hours. Well, you get up to 3 takes, but you have 24 hours each time. So we're actually building out a web page. So you will get a lot more time, and it's not going to be as like rapid, and it's not going to be as mathematical. We're actually going to build stuff, which will be fun. We'll have all of the key components coming up here pretty soon. So that opens up next Friday. Now, does that mean that you have to take it this weekend? No, but I'd really encourage everybody to take it this weekend. The 14th, 15th, and 16th. Then throughout here, we're going to have just some more conversations. Now, you won't need any of this information for your exam. Everything you need for your exam will be taught this week and next week. But here's just some more information, and then we will move forward on week 4. So this is a quick class. We only have 4 weeks. We will get here by Wednesday. Everything will be due. And then you guys will move forward. And again, on Friday, you will get an email from your new instructor with your new stack, whether it's Python or Java or JavaScript, opened up, and you will be able to get started. So this is a whirlwind of a class. It'll be really, really fun. Somebody asked a great question. Are we allowed to access past readings during the exam? So it is open universe, which is awesome because in the real world, you're going to have open universe. You will have the ability to use Google. You'll have the ability to use anything like our login platform, any of that. The only things you cannot use is you cannot basically take code. So if I have like a mock exam and then I name a variable something and I look at your exam and they're all the same and your exam doesn't work, but it's all my code basically, that's an issue. And then if you use any sort of AI to write it, that'll also be an issue as well. But it is open universe. So you can use past readings, past assignments, past lectures, the login platform, all that good stuff. So that's this sheet. I wanted to spend a lot of time on this. Any questions on this? Any questions on any of this information? Great. Couple of ones in the chat. Okay. Some other tools that are awesome. And if you were not with us in programming basics and you're like, why are people putting ones? What I love to do is just ask, I'll ask kind of, hey, are there any questions or what doesn't make sense? Or how is this sitting with you guys? Put a 1 in the chat if this is all making sense. Everything is good to go. Put something between 1 and 0, or put a 0 if it's not, and then identify what's not. And I can kind of go over anything that maybe did not make sense to you. So if that's where you're seeing 1s in the chat, it's just a little binary teaching tool to help us make sure that we know, or I know that you guys are getting this. And if I need to slow down, we can I can do that. Okay. Obviously, the other big thing that you're going to use is the login platform. And so here's all of your information. Discussion questions will be here. When they are open, I'll make sure that I have already messaged, and we'll try to get that cleared up today. Your lectures. So every lecture recording will be on our sheet, right? I will hyperlink it, but you can also find it there where you can see session 1, session 2, session 3. And if you did want to work ahead, you can. So there's already, so like an intro to HTML, similar to what we're going to talk about today. You can see a couple different ones here. So if you did want to work ahead, let's say that, you've already gotten HTML and need some help with CSS tonight. If you wanted to watch intro to CSS, you're welcome to. That's why we put it here. All of our instructors are great. And if there is anything that you need, or maybe there's just another instructor that does something a little bit different that helps you, then that will be here. You have access to all of that information. The best ways to use the platform is you'll kind of go through, and I'd encourage you to go through the stack orientation, core assignments versus practice assignments, understanding what's going on. Now, it's a lot of this stuff is what we have. A lot of this is like stuff we've already done in programming basics. But when you're talking about exams, here's what it is. Here's how kind of a breakdown of exams. We'll talk a lot more about it. But here's a breakdown of everything. And we do a lot of surveys. So there's gonna be tons of surveys. Here's a couple of them. Your mid-stack survey, which will be the halfway mark. That helps you know that that helps Christina and I know how well we've done with the mid-stack and the final. And the student satisfaction is just a Coding Dojo thing to make sure that I'm doing my job correctly. And if you were to say, hey, my instructor does not know what, like if I was teaching something and it was pretty evident I didn't know that language. Now, obviously, I've done this for a long time, so HTML is fairly, we should be good to go. But if there is ever anything, that's where this can kind of come here. And it does kind of just make sure that we are on the same page and you guys are, aware of everything, and Coding Dojo is aware of everything. Now we're going to be in this section, this HTML. This is what we're going to talk through today. Now, one thing to note is I am not going to regurgitate everything that's in here. I will use this as a tool, but you guys are smart. You guys can read. And this, some of this is, you need to learn how to read this sort of documentation style of stuff and understand. Whole point is because when you're dealing with APIs, you're dealing with different portions of code, the way that you're going to do it, or the way that you're going to learn about it, is by having to read documentation. So though I am not the biggest fan of reading documentation or reading versus a video, the best way I learn is video. It is going to be important for you as a developer, or just as somebody in the tech industry, to be able to read and decipher from information. So I don't go through this entire thing. I will hit on the big points. But it also would be very boring if I just regurgitated. So I will refer to this. Like today, we're going to talk about the request response cycle and how this operates and how this works. But this HTML section, you can kind of go through. There are different pieces that you will see. You're going to have like an elementary quiz. So here's just like a little quiz here. That grade doesn't go anywhere. It's just a little quiz for you to test your knowledge. You get these assignments. They're going to have a P. That means our practice assignments. And then here, registration form is a core assignment. And so these are the ones that you have to have 90% of core assignments in order to pass, and move on to the next stack. So you have to have 90% of those filled. Now, that does not mean a 90%. I do not grade assignments. If you would like to have feedback on assignments, you are welcome to ask myself, or that's where a one-on-one would come. Most optimal would be to go into Dojo Hall and have a TA walk through your code, see if there's any way that you can optimize, anything that you could do to make it better. That is the best way to do this. Transparently, you guys are adults. And I expect that this is something you are paying for. This is something that you are trying to change your life, and I want to help you in every way. But we don't grade assignments here at Coding Dojo. So if you do want feedback, that needs to be sort of a self-driven thing. Happy to do that. On the exam, obviously, I grade that. And we are happy to do that. Just we don't inherently, you're not going to get like a percentage score for each one. but they are due. So it is just sort of, did you turn it in or not? Now, please know that we will go through and just open just to make sure and check. Yes, they turned in code. They didn't just send an empty folder. Now, if you sent an empty folder, that becomes sort of an academic dishonesty thing. So please do that, because if, we sporadically check and we check yours and it's not there, we try to make it look like you submitted something, that can kind of become an issue with that. So your core assignments are going to be really important. Again, you can find all of those on your assignment checklist and also within the platform as well. We're going to have lots of stuff that we're going to go through. We're going to kind of position here, and you can see that this is HTML, CSS, selectors, and box model. So if we're looking at it, we see, okay, CSS and then box model. Cool. So we can identify, this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and so on and so forth, right? So this sort of just builds out what's going to be on the login platform. Cool. Great. And then on your exam, we're going to talk through how you do that, but you'll just come to this take exams. You'll enter in a code, and then it'll open up your exam. Now, I did see a great question in there that asked, you have 24 hours and you have unlimited takes within that. No, not necessarily. Kate, you get 24 hours, but we are not doing there's not multiple takes within 24 hours because it's not automatically graded, and it's just going to look different. So you will have to build, like if we get to, let's see, the yellow belt, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build something. Here's the entire layout that we give you. But you're going to have to build something that's going to have CSS, HTML, all of that information. Again, we'll talk about that, but you will have 24 hours to accomplish this and to build this out, and then you will submit it. Now, it's not automatically graded, so Christina and I are going to have to go in and grade. So it is, you get up to 3 chances. And I say up to because regardless of how many, you have left, if it is this last day and you wait until today, you wait until the 25th to start your first exam, then you're only going to get one, right? Because you have 24 hours from when it starts. If you started here and maybe you did it over a weekend and then maybe didn't pass, and so you do another one here, do it over a week, do it over the week, still don't pass, and then you start another one here, then you get your 3, right? So that's why I say it's up to 3, but you'll have 24 hours from when it starts. Whenever you log or you put in your code, you'll have 24 hours. You'll have to build something, so you'll get a prompt, which we're going to talk a lot more about this in a bit. You'll get a prompt, you're going to build it, and then you will be able to, and you're going to try to basically emulate and match what the prompt is. And then what Christina and I will do is go and look at your code, run your program, make sure that everything works, everything is good to go. And then we will be able to go from there. So that's the exam. We'll learn a lot more about that, but it's not something that you repetitively do over and over and over again. It's just, you'll have 24 hours, you get up to 3 tries on it, but it's really just one take within the 24 hours. So yeah, now this programming basics is just a different type of exam. So just please know that it was more automated. This one is not, right? We have to go in and actually grade your code because it's based on, could you recreate what we gave you? So trying to see if there's anything. Like if I gave you this, which I know sounds like a lot right now, you're going to crush it though. Does it look like that? Does it operate? If I click something, does that work? If I do something, this is all we're going to learn. And so we'll give you something like this that you're going to have to create, right? You're going to have to build the same thing. So you have 24 hours to build it. That's how the exam works. And that's how they're going to work moving forward. So it'll be really fun. We're going to learn JavaScript on the back end, how the browser works, all that fun stuff. CSS, make it look really nice. Say hello world. It's going to be exciting. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about for 2 minutes is just Discord. This is what we are going to use. You should have access to our class channel. This should say cohort will July. You should have access to this. If you don't, please make sure that you email me and Christina, and we can make sure that we get you access here. If you have questions, make sure that you put your questions here. and web. You can either put them here. So TAs and Christina will monitor this channel. This is where you want to ask your class questions. And then secondly, if you do this Web Fund PT, this is where lots of TAs are going to do. So not just Christina, but lots of TAs are going to monitor this one. So you can see there's like Stewart and Gray and a whole bunch of people will monitor this one. So if you have another question and you need it a little bit more generic, this is a great spot to do it as well. So this is gonna be a tool that you should definitely utilize if we have any class things. I'll hop in, or Christina will hop in and kind of, like if you can't have access to discussion posts, that is one thing that we've already identified, but I can hop in. And Christina, maybe if you could hop in right now and kind of message Adam and let him know that we are aware, that'd be super helpful. Cool. Okay. So that's all I wanted to talk about for orientation. If you're just joining, we just kind of went through some of our main tools. This is all recorded. You don't need to worry about like, oh no, I can't believe I missed it. It's just office hour. We don't always go through stuff, but I wanted to make sure that we have access to all of our tools. We know what we're going to use. We know what we're going to build, everything like that. So great. I'm going to stop the recording here.